Hello and welcome to the BurnCast. I'm Brady Byrne.
And I'm Kim Cass.
Today we're looking at Stab This Christmas by K.F. Johnson and Jingle Hell by Magnus Huffam. As always, any criticisms directed towards the authors and works that we discuss are exaggerated for entertainment purposes and are not meant to be taken personally. Thank you for listening, happy holidays, and we hope you enjoy the show. Let's talk about Stab This Christmas and Jingle Hell.
Let's talk about them. Now, this is the second annual holiday special, the second annual Christmas holiday special.
Absolutely, and we're coming off of the huge success of our, the huge failure, technically, of our Halloween
they
special.
failed, we succeeded.
Yes.
We delivered our Halloween special. The books written for the Halloween special did not deliver.
However, we're coming back to the holiday special in our Christmas-themed episode with two books that, by all accounts, were the low-hanging fruit when we saw them, but have turned out to be something quite special.
Wow. I don't know about you. You don't know about me. There were some very praising sounds, some amazing things I heard from your corner, and I think you heard the same from mine.
Absolutely.
I don't think either of us are going into this, thinking that the other person's book was unsatisfactory, good or bad. One thing that I want to make clear is that my bar was on the floor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the main criteria for these books was that they had anything to do with Christmas.
Yeah, that wasn't to do with Amish or
shrews
or cowboy billionaires.
Yeah.
That was the only thing, really.
We had such a hard time finding actual Halloween-themed books for our Halloween special, and so we picked up these two books, Stabbed This Christmas, looked like it to be a Christmas slasher of sorts.
Yes.
And Jingle Hell.
Jingle Hell. Now, both of these kind of double up on Halloween, actually.
I
guess the authors, in the run-up for Christmas, still had Halloween on their mind.
Yeah, I think this episode is going to redeem the BurnCast in several facets. Number one, it's going to be a better Halloween-themed episode than the Halloween one. It's going to be a better Christmas episode than our last year. And I think it serves as probably the real conclusion to Season 3 that Showstopper failed to be.
Yeah, well, with Showstopper, we were looking for a good book, a hidden gem, as they like to call them. And, who knows, maybe we did actually find something.
Yes, I got to say that Stab This Christmas looked like the kind of schlock that you would expect from the title. I was thoroughly impressed with the quality and emotional payoff of this story.
That is incredible. I mean, just from the cover, a Christmas bauble with a blood splat on it.
Yeah. Not just that, but the author, K.F. Johnson, seems to be obsessed with stabbing. All of her books are themed around it. She seems to be the empress of romance, suspense, and stabfic.
Yeah, wow, stabfic. Quickly growing genre, I'm finding out. Nothing spices up a story like a good roadside stabbing that, out of nowhere and incredibly violent.
Yeah, and I popped this book open, and what do I find is that the very first paragraph, someone's getting stabbed. So I thought, this book has already lived up to the promise.
It would be a shame if you had a book and in the title there was something like, I don't know, off the top of my head, like Shrew Island, and they never go to the Shrew Island.
No, this one comes out of the gate with the stabbing.
Well, that's good. And I suppose it happens around Christmas time?
Yes, absolutely. This is infused with holiday spirit. Now, I'm going to get into Stab This Christmas first, because I went second on the last holiday special.
And it's your rightful. I can see that the decision has been made.
Yes. So this is a story about a stabbing.
A stabbing.
On Christmas.
On Christmas? I mean, did you pick it up thinking anything else?
No. We get introduced to a lady named Samara. Now, she's an African-American woman. She works as a chef. And in the first paragraph, as I said, she is coming home from a big Christmas shopping expedition. And she just starts getting stabbed. I mean, just knife is in
and
her,
out
all at once. And I believe she gets stabbed 26 times.
Oh, Jesus. That is horrific.
It is horrific. And it's startlingly written. She gets stabbed in the head as well.
Oh.
And it really kind of makes it sound like she's done in, just right off the bat. But we do learn that she was in a car accident when she was a child. which she also got heavily injured, and she has a metal plate in her head.
Oh,
and this is what prevented the stabbing from really...
so kind of like the original malice, the original tragedy has come through and now saved you.
Yes, exactly. So she makes it out of this with a lot of stab wounds, but she does
survive.
She does survive. And so that little bit of backstory, when it's introduced, is when Stabbed This Christmas really starts to blossom. And that's because, like, I thought this book was going to have, like, very little substance to it. You know, I was looking for a bit of stabbing and you know, maybe some, like, schlocky romance and stuff. But
that's what I kind of predicted. That there was going to be at least a stabbing. I mean, it would be a crime to sell a book that was called Stabbed This Christmas. It didn't have a stabbing. So I expected a stabbing. Yes. And then I expected it to turn into some, like, very, like, lowbrow romantic.
Yeah, on the surface, a lot of this stuff seemed to be the bias to go in with. You know, K.F. Johnson, she's got all the marks of, like, her books kind of look similar. She's got these funny book trailers.
Yeah, she's like a ghost writer. Like, you only write, like, maritime speedboat books.
But I'm going to say that that's the real mystery to uncover, is that K.F. Johnson is actually a fucking good writer.
Shit.
Who knows how to, like, slip the story in when you weren't expecting it.
Is it something where, like, the pitch was, like, low and, like, the
absolutely
the content was like high above,
way above the watermark?
That is incredible.
Because she gets stabbed, main character gets stabbed, and it starts talking about her backstory. And this is where, like, you know how we've talked this whole season about these weird social fantasies that dominate the main story of the book. Well, the social development of this book is, like, the main course.
Oh my God, that is, like,
but, like, in the best possible way. Because, like, all of the stuff that's introduced, like, all of her family members start showing up. She's got her boyfriend, who is sort of tied up with an ex-wife who he has a child with. However, it turns out that the child is not his biologically. You know, his ex-wife had cheated on him.
Ooh.
And so she's got a child, but, you know, Wes, the boyfriend, didn't find out until, like, much later. So he's very attached to this child, but it's not really his. And the mom, it turns out to be a bitch. So the child starts to stay with Wes and Samara, the main character. So it's, like, immediately setting up a very complex social dynamic where, like, this kid doesn't belong to Samara or Wes. It's not his biologically, and she's, like, his new partner. However, like, they're the real parents in a way.
Yeah.
But, you know, this fucking crazy bitch has custody of her, and, like, the drama escalates immediately.
Yeah, that's like a threat level crisis.
Yeah, and you've got, like, a bunch of characters that come in, and they've all got, like, some level of backstory, and it immediately gets you wrapped up in, like, this is a complicated situation to navigate.
Yeah, it's not just the stabbing, it's...
like, the social... It's not a social fantasy. It's like an actual, like, social development.
It's like a real story.
Yes. The characters are, like, really believable, and they actually want things and don't get them, and then figure out how they can get them.
This is not an episode of the BurnCast, apparently.
I know. and so here I am thinking, all right, you know, when's the next stabbing going to happen? And I'm getting wrapped up in this real story, you know. It just comes out of nowhere.
Now, did it make you scared? Were you worried that because the book is called Stabbed on Christmas, that someone else was going to get stabbed? Or did you? Was the stabbing sort of like? Did you think that? Oh, okay, the stabbing has happened, or were you worried that this was going to happen again? Does it play it like, when will the killer strike next?
Absolutely, and I would say that the real, like, strength of this book is knowing how to do a mystery, like how to do a proper, like, because you don't know who stabbed her.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of get the idea from, you know, the detective talking to her in the hospital, like, you know, do you have any enemies? And she says, like, yeah, I've got this drama with this bitch who, you know, I was sleeping with her husband, but I didn't know it was her husband. And now I'm with Wesley, but this bitch still comes after me. I had to get a restraining order against this other bitch because she made sexual advances towards me while we were working in the same restaurant, but then I had to get her fired and I have a restraining order, and it's like setting up, okay, here are the players, right?
So you have a side segment, so you have a lesbian romance gone awry as a backdrop to
like, a stab thing.
To your stabbing. Oh my God.
and
then you've got this, like, family crisis.
Yes.
Crazy lesbian dynamic, and then more,
because it ratchets up, like, the intensity of this stuff in, like, such a great way. And I'm going to say that like the main strength of this is the character dialogue. I just want to read a little bit from Samara, the stab victim, talking about herself and her reflection on this terrible event. And she says, "For the first time in my life since I gained the extra 20 pounds that forced me into plus-sized wear, I was glad I'd worn the rubbery latex cincher that I absolutely hate, trying to be sexy into my new leather dress. It was worth it to feel like all my stomach organs were being smashed together into a pretty little hourglass for a few hours if the thing doubled as a stab resistant."
So she's packing body armor.
Yeah, she's packing body armor and she's thick.
I love how it plays there.
Yeah, that's like the writing is so clever about introducing like stuff like that. We're also adding the dynamic of she's struggling with her weight. She's not like some sexy,
This is more problems for one character than we have seen in all of the books that we've
as
read.
a composite.
For this.
Yeah,
I know. This
is like on the 3rd page, and it just goes from there. Like honestly, I don't even want to reveal too much of what happens.
You don't want to spoil it.
Oh, I'm going to spoil it, but I'm going to say right now, if you want like a good slasher social dynamic story to read over Christmas, go fucking buy this book and go buy all of K.F. Johnson's books.
This is incredible. Like I've never heard such praise for a book
I know.
before.
Like, and in a book called Stab this Christmas.
I know. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, I want you to stab your money into her bank account.
Yeah, I'm going to just drive my money right in and out of her bank account as soon as I can.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really gets me in the holiday cheer like a good stabbing.
I know that when I'm wrapping up my Christmas presents, I'm really thinking, oh gosh, what I could go for right now is a story about where someone was immediately stabbed 26 times.
Yeah, and good thing that she's struggling with her weight because, the cincher that she was wearing doubled as a stab resistant.
Now that's, it's got to be a big blade to get through that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is she was initially attacked with a paring knife. This can do a lot of damage with a lot of stabbings, but overall, the damage is like cosmetic mostly.
Yeah, it's not like a butcher's blade.
No, she doesn't get absolutely butchered.
No, you would expect like a cutlass to do some real damage.
Yeah.
This is a paring knife. You might walk away from that.
Yeah, she's got a couple of stab wounds from it. Worst of all are the ones in her hands because she's a chef. She starts to think,
oh my God! So she's also has a work complication.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that. She gets stab wounds on her hands, so she's like out of work. This is the thing that drives her. It's her passion. She comes from the Caribbean. She wants to open up a Caribbean restaurant, and those dreams got to be put on hold. She wants to get married to Wes, but KK, his daughter, who's not really his, is tied up with his bitch ex-wife, and there's all this is happening right around Christmas, and all of a sudden she gets stabbed.
This is crazy.
I know.
This is so impressive.
And now the next element I want to introduce is really the emotional linchpin of this. You've got all this stuff going on, and it just develops as you'd expect from a real story, which is, sacrifices are made. There's lots of like KK, the little girl, like she loves her mom, but her mom is an outright bitch. Like she doesn't want her staying over with Mara and Wes for Christmas, especially not when Mara's just been stabbed. That's not an environment for a child, according to Kenya, the bitch wife. And then there's things like Kenya says, okay, you can stay.
This book feels like, you just want to dive in and start defending some of these characters from the other characters.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
I'm reading this and I'm like, I can't prevent this stabbing. Who can? But I want to prevent these family dramas from escalating.
You step in and go, guys... Can't you see? KK is screaming for attention. Yeah. You both love her, right, guys? Come on, let's work together here. We need like a Dr. Phil on this.
I know.
Maybe with some doubled up stab resistant armor.
Stab resistance, yeah.
Some sort of...
Make sure to put on some weight the next time you feel like someone's going to come at you with the cut knife.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want to bulk up beforehand.
Anyways... So, as this drama escalates, there's lots of like tells in a classic mystery sense where, at the end of a mystery, like the author should give you all the pieces so that you could kind of work it out. Who's like going to be the, who done it. Yeah. And this book does that so well because there's lots of little things that are like, they're put right in front of you, but they're like background things. There's stuff like Wes, the boyfriend, he's talking to his little girl KK and she's like, oh, is mommy going to get her Christmas ring? And then Samara, who's been stabbed, is thinking, wow, this is going to be the best, worst Christmas ever. I'm about to get some sort of proposal.
Oh my gosh.
And
so I just want to top this off by saying this is an additional element.
Yes.
A soon-to-be wedded couple here.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is crazy.
They're on the cusp of greatness, and lots of stuff are holding them back, including the bitch ex-wife and the stabbing.
Yeah, I mean, the Christmas stabbing was
least of all.
Yeah, we all setback on your plans there. I was just about to go to work and do my job as a chef, but...
Yeah, but that's the thing, is it's so clever of like, it introduces this, and you think, oh, the main thing I'm being told here is that, Samara's going to get a proposal from Wes. But the main piece of information is the KK can't keep her mouth shut, because it comes back later when you find out that the bitch ex-wife is the stabber. But she's been like in the background, and the way it's justified that she wanted to stab the main character was KK let it slip to her mom that, Auntie Mara is getting a ring from Daddy. She doesn't understand what this means.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, that's put in front of you of like, oh, focus on the proposal and the relationship.
But it's actually the clue.
It's the clue.
Oh my God, that's clever.
And bitch ex-wife gets jealous and goes in for the kill.
As you would, right? I mean, like, you're not just going to let your ex-husband and his new happy fling, have their...
Basically take over your daughter, who they have no relation to, but she wants to be with.
No, you wouldn't let that... That's when you bring out the paring knife.
Yeah. Well,
that's when you go for the skull.
I want you to keep the paring knife in mind, because it's going to come back. The real emotional kicker here is, again, how the author deliberately uses you as a participant in the story. Because one of the other things that's introduced is that Mara's sister is also kind of a bitch. And she lives back in the Caribbean, and they don't talk much. They don't get along. It's explained that Mara was kind of the daddy's girl, and that the older sister never really got much attention. And the older sister comes to visit Mara after the stabbing.
Yeah, of course.
She wants to be there for the holidays, but she's like, I'm only going to stay for 3 days, just to help you out. But she's an insufferable bitch as well. She's like, oh, your friends were really rude to me in the car, and I'm doing this for you. It's that kind of like, no one asked you to come, but you're going to guilt that person for giving help that you didn't ask for.
Yeah.
And so it sets you up. It cleverly sets it up of like, you're supposed to think this lady is a fucking insufferable bitch, right?
And then, is it going to flip that? Is it going to flip it?
Well, it flips it almost immediately, because then there's this element of Mara and the older sister. They start to like kind of bond over the fact that Mara's been stabbed.
Yeah.
And there's this hint of like, I really regret these years we've wasted not being good friends, and maybe I'll use this time to try to improve that relationship. The sister, while she immediately comes off as a bitch, you do realize there's a nuanced reason for that. She deeply resents Mara for the relationship she had with her father, and she feels like she was left out of the family. No one even goes to check in on her or knows that she's a professional singer back in the biggest restaurant in their hometown. And so Mara starts feeling a little guilty about this. And in the next scene, the older sister gets fucking stabbed.
What?
Bitch ex-wife comes back into the house for a second round of stabbing.
She comes back.
This time she brings the butcher's blade.
Oh my God.
She brought a bigger knife, and she came in, and it's also set up that Mara and her older sister look almost exactly alike, but they're not twins. So Mara's older sister gets mistaken and stabbed to death by the butcher's blade. The paring knife couldn't do the job.
So she upgraded and came back to kill.
Yeah. And she comes back to kill, and Mara comes downstairs limping because she's still recovering from her stab wounds, and sees her older sister, who she just decided she wants to make things up with.
Oh my God.
Now having life lifted out of her.
Yeah, she's ebbing away. She's...
I mean, the cut knife is still going deep in.
Oh gosh, that's horrible.
And then little KK comes down the stairs.
Little KK's there?
Little KK is there, and this is another great, like, you could have figured this out because there's a scene earlier where bitch ex-wife calls the little girl, the daughter, and she's like screaming at her, like, no, you can't stay over there for Christmas and this sort of thing. Mara grabs the phone, and when she looks at it, she sees the bitch ex-wife with one of her friends, and they have like a turquoise car. Well, now she's remembering that because of the police report said there was a turquoise car fleeing the scene of the stabbing. So it's like, as soon as you learn that, now Mara knows it was the bitch ex-wife who did the stabbing.
Oh,
That's
shit.
when she comes back, stabs the older sister. KK comes down, and Mara says, oh my God, it's your mom. Like, your mom is killing my sister. And KK comes down saying, Mommy, Mommy, while the cut knife is in her hand and there's blood everywhere.
Oh my God.
And the mom tries to be like, I'm not your mom. Go back upstairs. But she can't even like mask her voice.
Yeah.
And little KK goes up and hugs her mom, on the waist and says, please don't kill Auntie Mara, Mommy. I'll be good. I promise. If you just don't kill my auntie. And it is like gut wrenching. It's like, like the kid is feeling like it's her fault that the stabbing happened because the ex-wife is jealous of the boyfriend going off and being with Auntie Mara. And now you've got little KK grasping at her mother's side.
I mean, I haven't even read that book, and I'm like,
butcher's blade in hand. And she finally gives it up.
Well, she just killed
Oh, yeah. Mara's sister is bleeding out on the floor. They lock eyes one more time, and then she passes on. Now, you would think that's the end of the story, but it's not. There's an epilogue. Right before that scene ends, the ex-wife slashes her own throat.
Oh, Jesus
because she
Christ.
can't bear the thought of her young child witnessing the butchering that she just did. And she does survive from this, but she's put in like maximum security.
You want to lock those stabbers away.
But that's the thing, is there's no real happy ending to this. There's an epilogue of like 3 months later, things have kind of stabilized. Like the main character got a new house because she can't live in the place that her sister was stabbed in, murdered, and that she was stabbed in the driveway. And it's her birthday, and Wes has taken her out for a nice dinner, and that ring still hasn't come around. Now they're having a nice dinner at this, this restaurant that cooks food of the Bahamas, the traditional dishes that Mara loves, and there's no one in the restaurant. Wes must have, bought the whole place out just for them. And Mara says, oh, what is this place called? And Wes says, you tell me. And she's like, what? I don't understand that. Later, the ring comes out, and he says, I don't just want to marry you. I own this restaurant now. I bought the lease for 2 years. I told you to tell me the name of it because it's your restaurant now. I know this stabbing has put our plans to go back to the Bahamas on hold, and that's why I want you to start working on your dream here. And little KK, they get custody of her because mom is off in maximum security.
Well, wow, you would hope so.
And that's the thing, is like it's kind of a happy ending, but like her sister's dead. This little kid is going to grow up like with huge amounts of trauma and all this stuff, but like I felt something reading this book. I felt many things. There are multiple emotional payoffs. Even side characters have dynamics that really fit into this story. And I'm not even including all the minor, like, little Christmas-themed things that go on, like, that they're watching Christmas movies, and it talks about, like, the pressures of Christmas and all this stuff. And it is like, it is just...
Well, I mean, Christmas time is a great time. Usually it's not handled very well, but you can focus in on particular feelings. Feelings of home, feeling of loneliness, feelings of pressure.
And survival.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like, the whole like drama at Christmas thing is about, it builds up all this stuff, but finally everything comes together. Like that's what a classic Christmas story is.
Yeah.
And this is actually taking a little more realistic turn, which is like not everything comes together. People die, families are destroyed, but there's this sliver of hope.
People get stabbed.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
I mean,
the knives get upgraded.
Like if the paring knife isn't going to do, you're going to want to sharpen up. You're going to want to size up.
Yeah.
You're going to want to go at least a butcher's blade, if not some sort of saber.
Oh yeah. I mean, I dreaded to see what a third stabbing would have looked like.
Oh my God.
So that's Stabbed This Christmas.
Incredible. Incredible.
I was absolutely like, more so than just reading this as like, sometimes we come across a good book for the podcast and I enjoy reading it, but this transcended like reading for the show. I genuinely felt things reading this that I have not in any other single BurnCast book, which is like,
I mean, you made me feel things just telling me about it.
I know. I
That's
mean, I almost
crazy.
feel like I'm getting stabbed reading it. I feel for little KK. I mean,
that's tragic. It's a tragic tale.
yeah. And, you know, the most surprising thing was the crossover from one of our previous books. There's a lot of pizza stuff in this story.
There's a lot of pizza stuff.
Yeah, pizza, big Christmas dish, apparently, at the Mara house.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's red.
Well, actually, that even comes into like the character a little bit because, you know, they're like, well, we'll order pizzas and watch Christmas movies. And Mara's like, oh, I never order food. I'm a fucking chef. I can't believe I have to eat pizza. Because it's like against her, like it fits into the character, even though it's like just a random afterthought. It's like everything fits together so well. Every single sentence is used to drive the character's emotions and the dynamics between them. No character is flawless. Even like the husband who's like, you know, just super positive and supportive. Like, you know, he struggles a lot with his ex-wife and to get along with her sister and all this stuff. Like I was transported to a very simple world, you know, a family at Christmas with a little bit of stabbing.
Yeah.
But I was transported, like in a way that like no other book we've read has.
Yeah.
And that is just, K.F. Johnson is a fucking author.
Yeah.
Like she is a working gal.
Yeah.
And like I think she deserves your hard-earned money for her work, even though it looks like kind of trashy, like kind of.
Yeah, because I mean that's what I was also going to say. It looks like
everything else on Amazon.
Yeah, it looks like everything else on Amazon. It has a funky sort of like it
looks like every book is copy pasted.
Yeah, the covers are underwhelming.
But I think that's just her working within the market. It's
Do you think she's like punching below, like kind of trying to, you know, maybe do a lot of the production and the promotion herself, try to go for a lower brow sort of look and then slipping in like true writing underneath it. Like
it's probably that.
Because it might be that something, this is huge speculation.
Yeah.
I don't know the business and I don't know the certain cultural things that go into, you know, who knows what selling books in one place and books in another or online or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, every audience is different. I'm not going to buy a Stabbed on Christmas book. I would never do that.
Yeah. It looks silly.
It looks silly. Maybe you have this idea for a book and you know that it's going to be a really hard sell to like more mainstream audience. So you make it look more like a schlocky romance that
which sell well, just based on very basic things.
Yeah.
And then you slip in this like genuinely heartfelt and surprising mystery thriller.
That's crazy.
You know,
that's absolutely stunning.
With one more stabbing than I was even expecting.
Yeah, and I mean, like to be honest, we say like, oh. It's a shame if you say something on the cover and it's not there. However,
they doubled the amount of stabbings I was expecting.
Like when the stabbing is so, you know, I want to say real and puts pressure on the reader. You know, then one stabbing is more than enough. Yeah, like how many scenes do you want where like someone's getting like really done in? You know, like a prison cell type, you know, affair. And you don't want to read that 10 times.
Not when little KK is there.
No, not when KK is there, not at all.
And I will say there was one other like little bit that I really loved, which was even kind of funny, and the book played it as a joke, which was like every once in a while they'll be talking about something, and I believe they were talking about infidelity, you know, the main character and like some of her friends. And one of the other characters who's pregnant and her husband's not in the room, she comments like, oh, my man would never cheat, you know, or even if he did, he know I'd stab it out of him. Like, and then
everyone's going, whoa.
It works on two levels because first of all, you're like, no one just lets that slip.
Says that. No one. It's not like when I'm eating my cereal, I just blurt out in front of you, man, I wish I could just stab the cereal.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, you know, you think, well, maybe they're the stabber. I mean, who else would infuse like, you know, stabbing into their everyday conversation unless they were a stabber?
Yeah, I mean, unless they got stabbing on their mind already.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all they can think about.
Now it's all that I can think about.
The thing is it's also played as like, oh, sorry, I can't believe I said that, Maura. After you've been stabbed.
Yeah, and after you got really shanked.
Yeah, done in 26 times by a paring knife. and the main character's reaction is mostly just like, mm-hmm.
That is so great.
Well, the aesthetic is also really there in this. You know, they talk about like, that bitch talks bad about me and it makes me want to rip her bougie ass wig off. Like, it's like stuff like that. Honestly, it's an extra layer to the book that is just so fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it
gives character to all of these people.
That is what flavor is. You could have those characters in any setting, future, past, or present. The core challenges are kind of universal, and that's why it reaches past all colors and peoples and cultures, and you end up with a really telling, really relatable story.
Yeah, you know? I mean, you know, God forbid anyone they know gets stabbed this Christmas. But
I know. I'm feeling for anyone who's ever been done in 26 times with a paring knife.
and done 26 more with a butcher's blade.
I know, and I just want to write a special little letter to KK now and go, look, girl, I'm there for you.
I know.
If you need anything, I promise I won't bring up paring knives. So.
Yeah, we'll keep the kitchenware out of sight.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about Stab This Christmas. Go out and read it. Honestly, like, you'll get way more out of it than anything else that I could have reviewed this Christmas.
This is a strong recommendation.
Absolutely, like with full confidence, not as like a joke or like as a silly.
But if you want a really hardcore ride through a really rough Christmas time,
you want to read about someone getting stabbed and feel like you're getting stabbed in the heart.
Yeah, and like honestly, I'm gonna spend my Christmas, just being thankful.
Yeah,
I haven't been done in with a paring knife.
I'm just absolutely bodied.
Yeah, I mean, just like really, really stabbed. Yeah. I mean, there's just no question about it.
No.
Yes, definitely a topic to avoid with those that have been stabbed. Yeah. Don't talk about being stabbed. I mean, it's just
don't talk about stabbing information out of your husband. Around a stab victim.
You want to cut that Christmas turkey up real. Slowly and calmly. You don't want to jab the knife in.
No, you don't want to body it.
You don't want to do it 26 times. No.
You don't want to feel like that 26 times was unsatisfactory and upgrade to a butcher's blade.
Yes, certainly not. Or some sort of carver, You don't want to do that.
Some sort of flesh sword.
Yeah, just a nasty meat cleaver. No. Well, K.F. Johnson...
Best Author BurnCast Award.
I must go this far to Stabbed This Christmas. Best Book, Best Author. Congratulations. Honestly.
You have given me hope.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's really amazing.
Oh, that's Stabbed This Christmas. Now, I am eager to hear about Jingle Bells.
So we have returned, to the second half, the second story, and what a story it was. Jingle Hell.
Yeah.
A book with a flaming hellish cover, a guitar, and some pretty obvious path marks to its story. I expected not much. My bar, as I said in the beginning, was on the floor. Holiday stories never bode well. No. We have just been proved that is a very prejudiced opinion to hold because they can be brilliant.
Yeah.
They can be really good. And this book was shocking.
Shocking?
Shocking.
In what way?
It was shockingly good.
No way!
Yes. Jingle Hell is a story about Christmas. It's about hell. It's, a little bit whimsical. The synopsis was a little bit
that's the thing,
silly. It's a little bit like...
It looks like a story built on gimmicks.
Yeah, right? Like the idea of going to hell on Christmas. And
it looks like it's going to try to be funny with all those things and not succeed.
Yes, and as you know, and for studious listeners, they will recognize that I hate attempts to be funny in a book, especially these types of books.
Yeah.
It's just not something that is easily done.
No.
So this book had a huge prejudice for me. Yeah. I was ready to cringe. I was ready to cry. I was ready to really have a hard time reading it. And it handled itself deftly.
Oh my God. This isn't an episode of the BurnCast.
No, this is a real review show now.
Yeah. We're talking about good books.
Yeah. And I'm just going to say right off the bat, if you purchase Jingle Hell, you will get exactly what is sold on the cover. You will get a rocker that has gone to hell and is experiencing Christmas time in a comical but, a touching way as well.
Like a witty, comical...
Yes, it's not shoveling comedy down your throat.
Yeah.
It knows it's kind of silly, stupid, fun. And it gives you some laughs, but it's not asking for much.
Yeah.
I will say that it's a little hit and miss when you're doing comedy. Of course, for your whole thing to land, you got to be crazy good. And sometimes, the same joke is kind of done over and over again.
Well, that's the thing is maybe the idea is done well, but does it play out for the full length of a book, or does it get old? Hell is actually funny.
Yeah. Now, we'll jump into the story.
Please
know that this is written in a lighthearted tone. Mm. It never spells out hell in like a, oh my God, this is so terrible kind of way, except for the obvious.
Yeah, well, to put it metaphorically, it doesn't start off with a stabbing.
No, not like a grotesque. Now, I will say that this, being turned over like a rotisserie chicken over licking flames is, painful as anything. But the character is going, oh boy,
Yeah.
Well, actually, while the characters are being tortured, there isn't any oh, not this again. There actually isn't that. While the characters are being tortured, it is torture. And the demons, they love to torture.
Yeah.
This is a fire and brimstone hell.
Okay.
Where the demons are vying for the most evil ways of methods and of torturing someone. And it is constructed as like a, traditional hell type of landscape. Now, our main character is already in hell at the beginning of the story.
Oh, okay.
And the narration is from his perspective. And he's sort of reflecting on his experiences. And the book is a constant reflection on his life, basically. In hell and before. So he dies in a Segway accident. And yes, by itself, that is if you were going for laughs off that, then no, it's not funny, However, that's not the joke, really.
Oh.
The joke is that it's such a pathetic way to die, and that throughout his experience in hell, Satan, for example, constantly uses this as a way to tease him. You better do good on this job because I got a whole lot of Segways charged up and ready for you. It's a humiliation thing for him. Yeah. It's not the Segway accident is funny.
That's not the funny thing.
It's the way that they use it. And so that's the kind of comedy that I actually go, I see. That is funny. The Satan continuously bringing up the waiting Segways, they're dangerous to him. They're his poison is classic. But he starts off in hell. You get to see a little bit of the parade of hell going forth. Kind of what you would expect, and then his own prejudices laid against the reality of what's going on.
Yeah.
For example, you have a prejudice that when you're lined up with other inmates of hell, it's kind of like a big prison, right? Yeah. You'll see Hitler and you'll see Genghis Khan, right, all these famously bad
evil
people. Yeah. And as he's lining up with others, he, looks over at one point and he does see a Mongolian-looking character, and he's like, Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And then later on when he gets to talk to him, he finds out that he's not Genghis Khan. He's just a Mongolian.
One of the millions that would probably also be there.
Yeah, and probably also was pretty evil and killed lots of people and didn't follow Jesus, so probably going to hell.
Being super evil doesn't make you a celebrity in hell.
Yeah, no, it's just the status quo, right? And why would every Mongolian you see no, there's millions of people down there and only one of them is going to be Genghis Khan, right? And hell is set up in a way that's not all the demons are so clever. It's a kind of fumbling, bumbling, but because of the magical powers instituted to the different deities and things like that, you don't have much hope. But it's not they can read your mind at all times.
Right.
They're passing the daily torture demons that sort of, they do the run-of-the-mill activities down in hell. They might have a printout of your worst fears or, things like that they can use to torture you.
But do their job efficiently.
Yeah, but they're just demons down in hell. They're not necessarily super omnipotent magical beings.
It's just their job.
Yeah, it's just their job. They enjoy it,
Yeah, I mean.
Who doesn't enjoy turning someone over like a rotisserie chicken? That's just good fun.
Yeah.
So we have this outlying experience, and you see the burning head comes down, everything is flaming hot, there's noxious gases, so you're in a obsidian cell block and you have nothing. even your bed is a metal rack that is very hot at most times. And it's given off throughout the book that if Satan is angry, then everything is just hotter. Like he said, there's nothing white and nothing cold in hell. Like there's just everything is hot at all times. Like, and the basic outlying premise is that Satan is bored and constantly vying to make troublesome things happen on earth, the battlefield between heaven and hell. And so he's making a reality TV show. Satan seems to be obsessed with the idea of, copying what's going up on earth and sort of, he's got a big ego, right? It plays like the South Park version of hell where he's very like superficial, like, and he cares about like, the president of the United States has a security team and is called POTUS. So Satan looks at that and goes, well, I need my own security team. And I also want an acronym. So I'll go for LPOD, Lucifer, Prince of Darkness, and
LPOD,
and everyone calls him LPOD. And then he also gets like a huge regiment of demons just to usher him around to give him. He doesn't need protection. He's Lucifer, Prince of Darkness,
like a Kim Jong-un,
guys running next to your limousine style God. And all the security demons, like they all usher him around in tight suits, and they go, LPOD's on the move, and they just usher him around because his ego feels it. It presents hell as like a place where it's just this game field for Satan and the other higher demons to play their little game, and everyone else
do a little bit of side torture.
Yeah, everyone in hell is just kind of torture bait, They're just begging for it, And the prisoners of hell also seem to realize this. Like, it doesn't take you long before you go like, the demons are in charge and punishment is cruel and I'll do anything to kiss ass. Like, that's the whole point of hell. Like,
it really is just like a prison block.
It is, yeah. And I don't know what it's saying about the American judicial system, but it certainly says a lot about the president. It likes to do that. I found LPOD's dialogue a little bit jilted at first, but it gets better. Like, as his character builds.
Now that is surprising. A book that like
improves its
over time.
Yeah, because you learn more about the character and you go, well, actually, that is kind of what he would be like. Yeah.
Usually these books like front load with the author's best work and then it deteriorates
off as
over
the
time.
Author stopped caring.
They already sold the book.
Yeah, it either drops off because they stopped caring or they picked up the bottle. Like, those are the two things.
Sometimes I feel like they're not necessarily attached.
Sometimes you pick up the bottle and you stop caring about everything else. So, we have LPOD, we have his reality show that is basically set up so that...
Just for antics.
Yeah, set up for antics and set up to get a couple more hellish souls down to hell, right? I guess the idea being that if you can make people on earth commit sins, then they will go down to hell instead of going to heaven. So it's an incentive for people in hell, demons in hell, to make humans sin. Yes?
Yeah.
And they are gathering these teams to compete in a reality TV show for all the demons in hell, to send them up to earth as spirits.
Yeah.
And on Black Friday. And it's a competition to see how many people they can get to sin for over 6 hours, 6 minutes, and 6 seconds.
And what kind of sins are we talking? Are we talking like just like wanton bloodshed?
Well, you'll be surprised. So they're given this power to do like a demon's whisper, right? Which is where you can float next to somebody's head and just whisper in their ear, and it comes across to them as like your inner thoughts, and you can manipulate people by like arguing things. It doesn't work 100%, but because it's coming from their own head, they imagine it as their own thought. It's like an inception type thing, So they are sent up to cause havoc on Black Friday, When someone pushes you in front of the line, maybe that demon's whisper just tells you to, bash them with your cart, or just something, violent or angry or anything like that. And it's heavily criticizing the commercialism of Christmas.
It's nice that the like social critique or the cultural critique is a secondary effect of the plot.
Well, this whole book is a social critique in a funny way, right? It's saying things about the president. It's saying things about the commercialism. It's saying things about Christmas and what we should do on Christmas and the things like it's speaking a lot. But it's going like, this guy's in hell, and the situation is funny, but like it's making you
You
think.
could just read it like on its surface, but
It's a real book.
Yeah.
Wow. So
what happened in our Amazon search that we landed on?
Well, they were the only ones that weren't Amish romance books.
Well, yeah.
So they were the only ones to pick.
I'm only going to read stab fic from now on.
I'm going to follow this series into the near future. Apparently, the success of Jingle Hell has ushered on his forthcoming secondary sequel novel in the battle for the Soul series. So this is going to be continued.
Okay.
And
maybe we'll get to it next Christmas.
Yes. But so you've got this reality TV show.
Yeah.
And this is also where he sees his teammates. You don't get to talk to anyone in hell, right? So when he has these moments where he can talk to people, it's very thrilling for everyone on board. And so you've got some random Mongolian guy who he just calls within the story Genghis, because he doesn't have a name that he can understand. So he just calls him Genghis. And then there's a French Caribbean pirate, but he speaks French, so you can't really talk to him either. There's a weird Dutch, tweeny kind of depressive, creepy guy who doesn't care about anything. There is a salesman, a corporate salesman, and a marketing agency girl called Simone, who's the love interest in this story.
There's a love interest.
Yes, there is a love interest. As soon as Laverne, our main character, who is a rock star, he's a middle grade rock star, sees Simone, there's an instant budding connection. But he prefaces this by saying, you cannot get aroused in hell. Otherwise, it wouldn't be hell. You can go wow, that's a pretty girl, but no coitus is ever going to happen. I mean, it wouldn't be hell if your dick worked, otherwise you could just masturbate. No, that's not happening.
It's an element I didn't consider, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they're not going to let you get off, you
just prevent it from...
Yeah, and I enjoy that sort of tragic romance. Again, you have this idea that, he's just the first girl that he's ever seen, and oh no, he's already in hell. And of course, his cock doesn't work. And of course, he's never going to be able to see this girl outside of this crazy reality TV show.
Yeah, in between torture sessions.
Yes. So they barely get any time together, but gives him emotional fuel to get through the torture sessions that are happening on the regular. Hell is also, there's something that plays with time where I'm pretty sure, time can be extended to the point where you can make torture sessions last for years. Jesus. And only a short amount of time has passed up on Earth. So you really get the full working over.
Yeah.
And every time it comes around to Black Friday, and of course it comes across in a really cool way. One of my favorite scenes is the first time he gets sent up to, cause trouble in a shopping mall. He spawns the method for sending people up from hell is that they get flown in an airplane from hell, and then they drop out and they get sucked up into the sewage pipes and come out of the toilet because it can't be nice for the people. It can't be a cool experience. So every time he comes out, he's that was gross.
It's true. It would be very cool to fly through a hellborn airplane, but
but it's never nice for the occupants. And so he comes out, and the first thing he sees, he's in a male bathroom in the thing, and he sees urinal cakes.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, urinal cakes. They smell so good. Because in hell, nothing smells good. It's all sulfur and horrible and
burning flesh.
Burning flesh. And so the first thing he does is smell the urinal cakes, and he's like, oh my God, this is heavenly. He's drinking it in. But of course, the time is running. He has to perform.
Yeah.
He does a bit of demons whispering. It doesn't get too much into the actual activity, and thank God, because I feel
it would be too fun for him.
Well, it would be a poor way to do funny humor. It's not hilarious to watch multiple scenes of the same thing where you whisper something into someone's ear, and it gives a brief description of some comical moments, but it doesn't dwell on them, and it moves on. Yes.
Honestly, that's one of the most impressive and surprising things.
It's done so well through most of the book, and I will say that the whole time I'm scared of oh, please don't do this for
That's what we always face in these books is even when they have a good idea, they play it out way too hard.
Yeah, and that's they
ruin it.
Yeah, they ruin it. They ruin the moment.
Ruin your own book.
Yeah, and I mean, think about this from a story structure perspective. Yes, you've got a scene where, oh my God, he's only got 6 hours to cause as much destruction as possible.
Yeah,
you want the chapter to seem like it's running out of time, and So it should be short. It should be very succinct, and it should be very direct, and it should boom, action scene, and it's over.
Economic storytelling. You know, K.F. Johnson, she doesn't put too many stabbings in her book.
No, you don't want to overload on stabbing. You just want one with 26 stabbings, and then one at the end with a lot of...
She says, expect one stabbing, and I'll give you two.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So... and they managed to win. Team Brimstone wins the competition, and they set a record. Simone, very efficient at getting people to fight each other.
Real bitch.
Yeah, she... well, this is the funny thing. The first thing, they kind of have fun with it. It's like, yes, I can make all these horrible people who they think are acting horribly. You can make them... convince them to do even more evil acts. The other characters have a more difficult time with it. Obviously, Genghis Khan doesn't know what he's doing. Like, the pirate's kind of confused about all this new technology. Like, the whole thing is presented as like, very strange. But they're efficient at doing it. And then they get sent back to hell. Satan, Alpod, is having a really good time with this, and he thinks they're doing fantastic. All the other teams get extra punishment for not doing so good, and Team Brimstone gets very special deliveries. They receive ice cream. Not vanilla ice cream, because you can't have white things. It's like a dark chocolate ice cream. Like, it makes a point out of saying, like, well, there is no, like, you can't have white, so we're going to give you, like, things that are still dark in color, like, at least. Like. So, and he also receives a guitar, because Alpod comes in and says, we need a catchy theme song. And the other musicians down here, they're all too, like, vain and egotistical, and like, we need someone who's kind of cheap, and like, we'll just write whatever we want. So like, you make our intro song, and of course every time Alpod talks to anybody, everyone's just like, yeah, of course, like, no problem, anything for you,
whatever you
great
say.
And wise leader, like. And he's just like, yes, good, goodbye. Like, he just Alpod becomes quite the funny character. It has this really great juxtaposition throughout the whole book. And if you've ever been on like a late night internet binge where you've gone on some demonology websites and you've looked at some strange occult looking pictures, or really anything to do with demons, and the illustrations are always like these pencil or charcoal sort of drawings that are kind of like itchy and creepy, and it has those images in the book as well. The production on this book is really good. For example, when the main character is being sucked back down, time's run out in the reality TV show contest, you're out of time, you get sucked back down the drains, and the writing trails off in like an artistic manner. Like the sentence trails down the page.
Really?
Yeah, the book is actually fleshed out in all those ways as well. Oh, wow. And it has like great...
It's actually a visual experience to read it.
Yes, and it actually has a high quality mark to the book that I find really satisfying.
Yeah, that is bizarre.
Yeah, it looks professionally done, and it comes across really well. It adds to the book, right? And that's what you want illustrations to do. You want it to add. And so it has these like really artistic embellishments of the demons,
right?
And then it has a description of the demon before you get to meet him.
Like a stat page.
Yeah, it tells you sort of like what the Persians or the Babylonians thought about this demon, his greatest story, and then fills you in. And then it has a little abilities list. Yes.
It's like a skill tree.
Not quite. But it has an abilities list, like it can conjure plagues, and he's the master of the wind, and, like all these sort of strange things. And then it will be like, and he can recite any Katy Perry song at a cappella level, like just as a unique torture method. And after reading 2 or 3 of them, and there's like, must be 5 or 6 or 7 in them in the book in total.
Yeah.
These demon description pages. The whole serious description is the setup for the payoff at the end, which is like a really stupid ability description, which is like, can sing Katy Perry songs, or, Malcolm, this master of minds demon and top accountant, can like scrutinize anybody's ledgers, and also leaves a little bit of milk in the bottom of the thing at the end of the day, like just always like something stupid and thing, but something like human and relatable where that pisses you off. Like
when I find milk at the bottom of my glass, I find it demonic.
So like you have this big description, and then one silly thing at the end just to be like, this is how silly the whole topic is in general.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Funny. I see, it even got a couple laughs out of me. Like,
wow.
It's actually handled, again, deftly. The show goes on, and multiple series of this show happen. Team Brimstone is on fire. They cannot be defeated. A problem with the guitar, and Alpod wants a song out of him. However, the demons just like having someone play music for them. So they have a little concert hall set up where they make him play like AC/DC tracks because demons like heavy metal.
Yes.
And they make him play. And he obviously likes it because while he's playing music for them, he's not being tortured.
Wow.
But he also doesn't have enough time to like play concerts for them and then also write the song for Satan. So Satan comes down and gives him a good rotisserie mode.
Wow.
Yeah. But he doesn't rat the demons out because he knows if he rats the demons out, they will also torture him. So he takes the torturing he's getting. Like the whole time he's just like,
oh my God,
figuring out how to not get tortured so much. And of course,
you just optimize my tortureless.
Yeah. So he's struggling to write the song Jingle Hell.
Oh.
That's the song that he is writing. And then this comes back in a big way. You actually get to see the lyrics for Jingle Hell.
Really?
And it's quite creative. I mean, the lyrics are there.
My God.
And
you wrote the actual lyrics.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, this book is fleshed out. I mean, it's really got everything you want from it. I saw the lyrics for the song, and then, after a little bit of research, I actually found out there's a real song that goes along with it too.
Wow. This is really amazing.
And we'll play that at the end. Over the course of this show,
yeah,
Simone and Laverne grow fond of each other, and they commiserate a little bit, and they enjoy each other's humor. And
you can laugh in hell, I imagine.
Yes, you can laugh in hell. Of course, laughter is...
Can't get a boner.
Yeah, you can't get a boner. And you can wisecrack at the demons, but obviously each individual demon can take you and torture you for 1,000 years if they so choose. So, like, you really don't want to, like, laugh too much, They're constantly trying to, not appear to be enjoying themselves too much. But otherwise, like, one of the demons will go, like, I don't like this. I'll throw you in the rotisserie. Like, you need a good licking. Like, And all these different demons have all these different methods of giving you a good torturing. So one of them is working them over. And as this session comes to an end, by all chances, Laverne, our rocker, sees Simone going in next, which is a very unlikely thing to happen in hell. I mean, out of all these millions of tortured souls, how likely is it that you see the person that you, love being dragged off next? Obviously, they both know that they're both being tortured, but then there is this instinctual rebellion because the torture in hell is, yes, painful in its experience, but you go back to being you, I guess, like... You never die. You don't have a heartbeat. Like, you can be, like, reanimated, reconstituted. Like, you're constantly being remade to be tortured again. And I think there's a sort of rebellion between Simone and Laverne and going, like, if I smile at you right now, then it's like they can't beat us. And there's even at one point when Simone sends a secret little letter to Laverne earlier in the story, based on the fact that demons can't deliver cold things or that they're afraid of cold things. So the salesman, the other guy on their team, is the one that is sent to each of their cells with a cooler of ice cream because none of the demons want to touch the cooler because it's cold. And so they send the guy around and he delivers ice cream to each one of the people as a way of, like, rewarding them. Yeah. And Simone slips a letter to Laverne that says, like, Buddhist quotes about how in prison you can free your mind and, like, they can never take your freedom away because you have your own free will and blah, blah, blah. And that comes back when they have this moment where they meet each other in the torturing chamber and it's sort of like they smile at each other and sort of make, like, joking silent remarks about, like, your smile looks beautiful, like rebellion of spirit. It's kind of like we do this because we're antagonists of hell. We're not like good people. We're like, we don't want them to win, so I'll smile just to spite them. It's like a power dynamic, like, and you can't take the power.
Not expecting
it's such a deep dive from such
a pull of the heartstrings to come from Jingle Hell.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was all prepared for some really schlocky romantic stuff, but when it prefaces it by saying, like, you can't get fucking aroused. Like, say goodbye to your boner. No sex is happening. Like, the only thing going up anywhere is hot metal rods up your behind. Like,
yeah, well, then
that's the only thing. That's the only romance that Satan's going to give you. Now, this culminates in when they are sent up in their 3rd season of the show. Mm-hmm. And it appears, obviously, that Alpod has it out for them.
He wants to shut this down.
Well, he just doesn't like the fact that they're winning. And a lot of the demons don't like the fact that they're winning because they appear to be, like, over-awarded. They seem like cocky. Team Brimstone just won the last 2 competitions.
Yeah, I see.
And the demons don't like any sort of winning in hell. Like, even if you're winning the competition they design, like...
no pleasure.
No pleasure. Like, and they don't want them to win a 3rd time. So they send them to a really campy, really tame town for their challenge. Not like a massive shopping mall full of, you know, the American idiots that will just savage each other already for Black Friday deals.
They don't need any demonic influence at all.
No, it's easy pickings most of the time. And they send them to a really campy, really quiet town where the people are really friendly and as soon as they get up there, they realize that this is a lost cause, that they'll never beat, you know, the other teams. And Simone and Laverne commiserate on this and then decide to act. And you go, well, what could they actually do to do anything to Alpod? Or how can they get out of this situation? What can they actually do to rebel? And it is a redemption of character that not only is so built into the character of Laverne and Simone throughout their interactions and throughout his reflection of his life, but it also caught me off guard. Shit. I didn't even see it coming. Like,
oh my god!
And what he does is that he gives a young man. He whispers in the lyrics and the tune of Jingle Hell, this classic metals rock song that he's spent this eternity making and being tortured a good amount to create, and then he's given it to him pro bono. Like, he's just whispered into his ears, like this is the inception of this brilliant song. Yeah. And it's like a song that is the theme song for this devilish show, but to the ears of someone who's listening on Earth, it would come across as like a critique on the commercialism. And the ploy is that actually what the song will do is get people to stop the rabid commercialism and think like, yeah, it is crazy that we do these Black Friday deals, you know, and act so poorly on such a special holiday. And the song, in critique of that, you know, sounds like a devil's song.
Ended up being an anti-capitalist.
And then, like, of course, they do this as a way to spite the devil, because the devil has spited them. And they go down, and the demons, obviously, you know. And they do this knowing that they will go back down to hell and they will get rotisseried and
mad torture.
Yeah, like, and, you know, one of the specialist demons, you know, one of these dukes of hell, tells Laverne right before that she is very unhappy with the level of, you know, the clout that he's attained among demon society, and if that he fucks up this time and doesn't win the competition, that she's got some extra special things in store for him. So he knows that it's going to be bad for him when he gets back, does this anyway, and they return to hell, much to the displeasure of Satan, who is now, got some words to say to them. But, you know, he is, you know, in a sort of, it's not an epilogue, it's the final chapters, but the deed is done. Yeah. He's being tortured, and Alpod comes to him and says, like, look, I've actually got a, you know, like, even though you screwed up real bad and I'm really annoyed about that, you're kind of the dog shit musician we need to write our songs, so I'm going to put you back in the booth, like, and gets him strapped up with another demon to write some more music for him. And then he is miraculously saved from this experience, wakes up in heaven.
Oh.
And of course, Simone is there, and Gabriel is there, and he wakes up in his old slippers that he used to have when he was 17 or whatever, and they're perfectly worn in, and everything is white, and he can order coffee, but he likes it with cream now because he doesn't like anything that's black. Like the whole thing is quite funny still at this point. And it's and Gabriel, the kind of final funny remark that is happening here is like, we all like the little stunt you pulled, and that was a very kind thing you did. And usually we don't pull people out of hell, but given this is a special circumstance, we sent down our SEAL Team 6 basically and pulled you out. Simone is here, and you can enjoy heaven and all the greatness that is heaven.
Okay. It's an interesting kind of ending.
Yes, and they do get to enjoy vanilla ice cream and all the things that go on heaven.
Physical arousal.
Arousal, yes, plenty of that. And then Gabriel comes to him one day and he said, like, Laverne, how are you doing? We have this idea for a show. Like, and then it just ends there. God. So it doesn't it does end, and I guess that's kind of the sequel. I loved the constant because he's always sent back to his cell, and long periods of time pass between interactions between characters, and it's just glossed over that his daily life is the daily torture demons. They're just like demon lackeys that just they run his little corner of hell, and they just do whatever the fuck they want. Like, there's no he might impress Satan, but that has no impact on the daily torture demons. No. They're just they're his personal trainers for demon torture.
He's just torture bait.
Yeah, I know. They look at him, and if he's smiling too much or playing the guitar too much, they'll torture him. They'll turn him over and pipe up the bum.
Yeah, they'll torture anybody.
Oh, yeah.
For any amount of time.
Yeah.
For any reason.
And in fact, it's kind of because Alpod, right, gives him the guitar as sort of like a secret gift. Uh-huh. And he slips it in, and he even Satan is kind of like, look, I don't want anyone to see me giving you the guitar, because I think
you're going to enjoy this.
Yeah. And even though he comes back and he's like, well, now that you have a guitar, you can write a song for me. Uh-huh. But it's also done Satan doesn't want to look like a pussy.
Well, that's the thing, is he's battling his ego and these things he wants to accomplish, but you can't give someone miserable a guitar who doesn't know how to play it. You have to give it to someone who does know how to play it. They're probably going to be fulfilled by that. He's got to battle against his own conflict of, I want everyone here to be miserable, but I also want things for myself. I probably need competent people, because these demons, all they know how to do is torture.
Yeah, it says the demons, it explains that they're not stupid, they're witty. They're witty in terms of they are always suspicious of what you do and what you want and what you're asking. And usually when you ask a question, they just hack you with an axe or something. They just don't respond well to any interaction. But they're also not intuitively clever. They're always suspicious, but they don't think too much for themselves.
They'll slash anybody.
But the whole time, for example, Satan says here's this awesome axe, in terms of it's a guitar. It's a real dope piece of equipment, and make sure that you write that good song. Otherwise, I got a couple of demons that'll, show you some other axes.
That'll really hack you to bits.
Yeah. And it's constantly Satan just every time he says something, he also reminds you that you're going to be tortured lots still. He's you can earn some real brownie points down here in hell if
still going to torture you.
We're going to torture the shit out of you. But you might earn my favors. And the daily torture demons, they're going to be on your ass 24/7. But here's a guitar. Don't forget about the torture demons. And if you don't play that song good, I'm going to work you over even worse. Constantly Laverne's wow, this sucks. I wish, oh my God, urinal cakes, my dream. People don't know how good they have it with urinal cakes. It's such a funny,
You'll be lucky if all you get for Christmas this year is a good stabbing.
Yeah. It's a funny book. It speaks about Christmas. It happens on Christmas. It talks enough about Christmas that you can say it's a Christmas book for sure.
Okay.
And it is delightful to read something that was humble. It was a humble book. It said look, I know this idea is not big, it's not a crazy idea, but you want to read a funny Christmas in Hell book? Here you go. Here's your Christmas in Hell book. And in no way did it disappoint.
Wow.
I found that even as someone who would never pick up a book like this, I was delighted. And I think that it stands together with Stabbed for Christmas as an equally, maybe not as good. I mean, Stabbed for Christmas seems like it was like on cloud nine of storytelling.
It was firing on all cylinders.
But it stands beside it in a way that I have not seen a book on the BurnCast do to date.
Honestly, this is affecting me in some sort of way because
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Maybe there was a Christmas connection.
This is a Christmas miracle that these two books, they really leaped out at us.
I know, and they jumped out from behind a car and they filled us up with a sharp amount of story.
They really stabbed a good narrative into it.
Yeah, I feel like I really got turned over in a rotisserie motion,
with heart and character.
Yeah,
it's a level of competence and craft that I have not seen on the BurnCast and may never yet see again.
Yeah, well, given the track record, I mean, it may be until next Christmas that we find something just as good. Now, I want to go ahead and say that this is what our original idea for the show was.
Oh, yeah.
We would find these fucking,
We thought we would be like gem hunters.
Yeah, like real gem hunters digging out these books and being like, yo,
you gotta
raise it up. Raise it up. And, this feels like the first episode of that show that could have been. Like, if books were really written with heart and intent and courage and passion.
I think it's also worth saying that, sometimes we come across a book that's like a Clash of the Blow Demons, and that's a book that
no one should read.
Well, if we
but it's just good in its own
dogging BS there. It's a book that we always say, look, with context, if this is the first book we reviewed for the show, we would hate it. But after all these episodes, we can really praise it. I think these two books, from what I understand about yours and from what I know about mine, I do not think that our lowered standards, because we read schlock most of the time, have been affected by this. I think Stabbed This Christmas stands outside of the BurnCast as something that I would just read.
Yeah. It's a real book. It's a real story.
You could easily make that into a good 90-minute film, and it would have as much impact as
you could flesh that out, with some impactful long shots and some, real close-ups at the right moment.
Yeah, do 26 quick cuts.
Stab, 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 stab. With that violin, and
then really work the actors for their performance.
Yeah, stabbing is a great literary device. You can really shift the plot in different directions.
Yeah, really give it a lot of motion.
Yeah. And a real in and out sort of between the dynamics of the people.
You really develop a sharp character.
Yeah.
with a real point to the story.
Yeah. And sometimes you can just,
slice through plots.
Yeah. And how come you keep coming up with them and I haven't got anything?
You really carve out a niche for yourself.
Oh my God. I am going to have a very merry Christmas.
Yes. And if you go pick up Jingle Hell or Stabbed This Christmas, you will not be disappointed if you pick up either or both of these stories.
I mean, I feel like this was a pitch in the dark and somehow we caught it.
Yeah.
There is a very slim glimmer of hope, like a shard of light piercing through hell's brimstone black clouds.
Yeah, or like a gleaming knife on a long piece of silver.
Yeah, like Gabriel's arm reaching down and plucking you out, or a sharp peering knife piercing the torso of,
bad writing.
Go pick these books up, buy them, read them, enjoy them. They're the only books out of the BurnCast roster that I would actually recommend.
And we'll see you for the next holiday season. We'll see you for season 4.
Yes.
And here is the actual song from the book, Jingle Hell by Dirk and the Hellions. Happy holidays, everyone.
Making greeting files makes me wanna squeal. The sun registers me, the evil of it is bright. What fun it is to serve the king, we're selling souls tonight. Jingle hell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to lead Black Friday mortals astray. Hey, jingle hell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to lead Black Friday mortals astray. A month or two ago, the first decorations were hung. Go with the commercial flow, you'll be kissed by the serpent's tongue. The sales stem souls like gold, greed and envy drive the day. Through hell's gates will roll, your ticket souls are growing black as shoppers spend more green. Keep it up, chilling Jack. Turn on to the demon scene. Our age is already 2 pounds. They're jumping at the bit and tallying the counts of souls that are not worth a spit. Jingle hell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to lead Black Friday mortals astray. Hey, jingle hell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to lead Black Friday mortals astray.
Thank you everyone for listening and supporting the show. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe and join in the conversation with us on one of our platforms. You can find us on Discord, Twitter, and Reddit. You can support the show through Patreon or just by sharing the show with your friends. Thanks!